part of our restaurant that has never ever been filmed before.
Oh, really?
for obvious reasons.
So is this what you opened with, or does this add?
No, this was a third smoker that we added, and rather than build out this whole area and make it, you know, food service ready, we decided to just put the smoker kind of through the wall. We didn't really have the luxury of a lot of time because we really needed to get some capacity. That's going to get up the temperatures in the burner, cycle off, and then it'll just be the wood kind of smoldering. And in Chicago particularly, there's such a right way and so many wrong ways to do a hot dog that you're going to create something that everyone's going to recognize instantly as a hot dog, and to put it in an unfamiliar context, well, might not go over all that well in this city. In that respect, it's a tough ingredient because, I mean, you could argue that it's, you know, highest and best use is on a poppy seed bun with mustard, pickle, tomato, celery salt. I'm shooting for the second best use for hot dogs. That's my target here. These are the diced up hot dogs that have been marinating for about an hour in balsamic vinegar. It turns out these are really good as like a little salad topping too. In barbecue circles, I think a lot of people are familiar with something called dragon turds, and it's kind of a take on that. A dragon turd is not unlike this, where you take sausage, stuff it into a jalapeno pepper, and wrap it in bacon, and you know, it's a good thing. So these are coming off the stove. You can see that the balsamic is kind of thickened a bit. The hot dog has got a little bit of golden brown to it. Pour it in the mixing bowl. The chopped dried cherries. And some minced green onion. You want to do this while it's still hot, just so the flavors kind of meld a little bit better. And you can use a paring knife for this. I kind of like to use a plastic knife because you're not going to tear the outside of the skin, and you just kind of carve out this middle section here, and then I use the plastic knife to just kind of scrape the seeds and the ribs out. So you're going to put just a couple of little strips of the Oaxaca cheese in here. You want them to be about the length of the pepper. Then you're going to take the filling, and very small amounts at a time, just kind of push it in and push it down with your finger to make sure it gets all the way to the bottom. Next step, you take 2 strips of bacon. I start by putting this cut side down in the middle of one of the strips, and then kind of pull this over the pointy edge, pointy end. You want to stretch it just a little bit. You don't want it to tear, but you want it to be nice and tight. And then you lay it on its side and wrap the second piece of bacon around that way. So we're actually smoking these at a pretty high temperature. We're going to do about 325. Just because you want to be able to let that bacon really cook at a normal smoking temperature. Eventually you'll get there, but since we're using all cooked product in this, there's no reason to do it slow.
So how do you approach putting a barbecue flavor onto something that's already cooked and maybe has a little smokiness even to it?
Well, I think you go with that smokiness and you add to it, and you add some other flavors that kind of counter it in the same way that you do with good barbecue. I mean, you want to take that smoky flavor and maybe want to add a little sweetness to it and a little tanginess to it and create something that's a little bit more balanced. These look about done. You can see the bacon is done, not crunchy that it's going to fall apart when you try to bite it. You get the sweetness from the cherry, a little bit from the balsamic. You get the smokiness of the hot dog and the bacon, a little spice from the pepper. Good. But this will be the hors d'oeuvre. This will be your hors d'oeuvres before your breakfast this morning.
I know, I love this.
I think you're cooking with bourbon. You have to, you're talking about really strong and interesting flavors, and I think Cletus will be really good with that. I mean, you can't be a barbecue guy and not have spent some time cooking with a little bit of bourbon.